When you begin to recognize your inherent worth, something remarkable starts to happen. You stop treating yourself as though you're a background character in your own life. Too often, people move through the world with a quiet belief that their value is conditional, that they are only as good as what they achieve, what others say about them, or how much they're able to contribute to someone else's story. That way of thinking is corrosive. It leaves you constantly chasing approval, constantly measuring yourself against an impossible standard, and constantly feeling like you're not enough. But you are enough. You always were. The problem is that somewhere along the way you were convinced otherwise. Maybe by parents who were too harsh, teachers who dismissed your potential, or peers who laughed at your failures. Maybe by a culture that endlessly compares you to someone more beautiful, more successful, more talented. And so you began to forget. You began to see yourself only through the cracked mirror of external judgment. But there is another way to see yourself, one rooted in truth rather than distortion. The truth is that your worth exists before achievement, before recognition, before applause. It is the simple, undeniable fact of your being. You are the only person who has lived your exact life, who has carried your experiences, your struggles, your victories, and your scars. That uniqueness alone carries immeasurable value. You don't need to earn your right to exist. You don't need to prove your humanity. You already possess it, and if you take that seriously, it changes how you stand in the world. Imagine for a moment what it would look like if you truly believed in your inherent worth. You would no longer tolerate people who diminish you. You would stop apologizing for taking up space. You would silence that endless voice of self, doubt that whispers you're falling behind. Instead, you'd begin to move with dignity, not arrogance, but dignity. A quiet acknowledgement that your life matters and that what you do with it has weight. That realization would compel you to care for yourself, to invest in your growth, to pursue what is meaningful rather than what is convenient. Of course, this doesn't mean you're perfect. Recognizing your worth isn't the same as denying your flaws. In fact, it allows you to face them with honesty, because you're no longer terrified that your shortcomings erase your value. You can admit mistakes, learn from them, and rise stronger, precisely because your worth is not up for negotiation. That is the foundation upon which real growth is built. Without it, every attempt at change becomes another desperate attempt to earn approval. With it, every step forward becomes an expression of respect for yourself and for the life you've been given. Think about the alternative. If you believe you are worthless, you will let the world treat you as worthless. You'll allow yourself to be dragged into relationships, jobs, and habits that destroy you. You'll become a shell of who you could be. But if you recognize your worth, you'll demand more from life. You'll take responsibility not out of shame, but out of reverence. You'll refuse to live small, because you'll know that living small is an insult to the miracle of your existence. And so the task before you is simple but not easy. You must decide that you matter. You must remind yourself of it every day, especially when the world tries to make you forget. And you must act as though it's true not once, not occasionally, but consistently. The way you carry yourself, the way you speak, the way you pursue your goals should all flow from that deep conviction. Because once you see your worth clearly, you'll never again accept a life that treats you as if you don't have it. Recognize it now, and everything begins to change. One of the most difficult things you will ever do, but also one of the most liberating, is learning to set boundaries without feeling guilty. Many people are conditioned to believe that their worth is tied to how much they can give, how much they can tolerate, or how much they can bend to fit the expectations of others. They live in a state of quiet exhaustion, constantly saying yes when every part of them wants to say no, constantly overextending themselves because they fear rejection or conflict. But that path only leads to resentment, burnout, and a hollow kind of existence where you no longer recognize yourself. The truth is, if you want to value yourself, you must be willing to defend your time, your energy, and your dignity. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are gates that protect what is sacred within you. When you set a boundary, you are not declaring war on someone else. You are declaring peace with yourself. You're acknowledging that your life is finite, that your attention is precious, and that you cannot afford to squander it on things that pull you away from who you are meant to be. And yes, some people will resist. They will call you selfish, cold, or difficult, because they have grown accustomed to you putting their needs ahead of your own. But the discomfort of their disappointment is nothing compared to the cost of betraying yourself again and again. It's important to recognize that guilt is often misplaced. You feel guilty not because you've done something wrong, but because you've finally done something right, something unfamiliar. You're breaking a pattern of self-abandonment, you're choosing honesty over appeasement, and that feels strange at first, like stepping into shoes that don't quite fit yet. But with time, those shoes become comfortable. With time, you realize that people who truly respect you will also respect your boundaries. And those who don't, well, they reveal themselves in ways you can no longer ignore. Think about it. If you never set limits, if you never protect your time, you're teaching the world that you are available to be used. And when you do that, you slowly erase the possibility of becoming who you could be. You trade growth for compliance. You trade authenticity for approval. You trade freedom for chains disguised as kindness. But kindness that destroys you is not kindness. Sacrifice that leaves you empty is not noble. To truly serve others, you must first be whole, and you cannot be whole without boundaries. So when you say no, do not see it as rejection. See it as affirmation. Every no to something unworthy of you is a yes to something greater. A yes to your health, your purpose, your peace of mind. A yes to the relationships that lift you rather than drain you. A yes to the work that gives your life meaning rather than strips it away. This is not selfishness, it is stewardship. You are the caretaker of your own existence, and if you neglect that role, no one else will fulfill it for you. Of course, boundaries require courage. They will test you. They will expose how much you're willing to tolerate for the sake of false harmony. But once you practice them, once you grow into the habit of standing firm, you discover that boundaries are not a burden but a gift. They clarify who you are, they reveal who belongs in your life, and they remind you that your voice matters. So stop apologizing for protecting yourself. Stop shrinking to make others comfortable. Stop carrying guilt for simply honoring the fact that you matter. Say no when you need to. Say yes when it aligns with your heart, and let the rest fall away. Because the moment you set boundaries without guilt is the moment you finally begin to live in truth. If you truly value yourself, then you cannot remain stagnant. You must invest in your growth. Growth doesn't just happen. It requires intention, effort, and the courage to step into the unknown. Too many people drift through life as if time were infinite, as if tomorrow will always be there to offer another chance. But time is slipping through your hands every moment, and if you're not deliberate, you wake up one day and realize you've been living on repeat rather than moving forward. To grow is to respect the gift of your existence, to take what you've been given and shape it into something greater. Investing in yourself means more than chasing external success. It begins with the simple recognition that your mind, your body, and your spirit are raw materials that can be cultivated. Read widely, not to collect information, but to sharpen your thinking, to stretch your imagination, and to challenge the assumptions that keep you locked in place. Train your body not merely to look good, but to develop the strength and endurance that make life's burdens lighter. Strength is not vanity, it's preparation, because life will ask you to carry weight, and the stronger you are, the more capable you become. And nurture your spirit, whatever that means for you. Reflect, pray, meditate, or sit in silence long enough to hear the voice that lies beneath the noise of the world. Growth requires all of you, mind, body, and soul moving upward in unison, but growth is not comfortable. It demands sacrifice. It means giving up easy distractions in favor of meaningful work. It means confronting your weaknesses instead of ignoring them. It means enduring the frustration of slow progress when you'd rather have instant results. That's why so many people avoid it. They choose comfort over challenge, pleasure over purpose. And yet, the irony is that the comfort they cling to eventually becomes suffering. Neglect your growth and life punishes you. It punishes you with regret, with bitterness, with a gnawing sense that you could have been more but refused to pay the price. When you invest in your growth, however, life rewards you, not immediately, not without setbacks, but steadily and unmistakably. Doors open that once seemed shut. Opportunities find you because you've prepared yourself to meet them. You begin to carry yourself differently, with quiet confidence that comes not from arrogance, but from competence. And people notice. They respect those who discipline themselves, who take responsibility for becoming more than they were yesterday. That respect is not the goal, but it is a byproduct of living rightly. The beauty of growth is that it compounds. Small actions done consistently transform you over time. One book becomes wisdom, one workout becomes strength, one honest reflection becomes clarity. And the more you grow, the more you realize how much further you can go. Life becomes a journey of endless possibility rather than a prison of limitations. You begin to understand that your potential is not a distant dream, but a living reality. One that unfolds every time you choose discipline over indulgence, purpose over distraction. Ask yourself this: if you don't invest in your own growth, who will? No one can do it for you. No one can live your life in your place. The responsibility rests entirely on your shoulders, and that should not terrify you. It should empower you, because it means that you are not powerless. You have agency. You have the ability to shape your destiny by shaping yourself. So take the steps even when they're small, make the sacrifices even when they sting, build the habits even when no one is watching. Because every effort compounds, every choice matters, and every investment in your growth is an act of respect for the life you've been given. Refuse to waste it, and you'll discover that the person you can become is far greater than the person you are today. Everywhere you turn, the world is screaming for your attention. The noise is relentless notifications lighting up your phone, endless headlines designed to outrage you, opinions being hurled across every platform, voices pulling you in 100 different directions. It's intoxicating at first. This constant stimulation, because it feels like connection, it feels like relevance. But beneath the surface, it is robbing you of something essential. It steals your focus, it fragments your mind, and it drowns out the quiet inner voice that tells you who you are and where you are supposed to go. To value yourself, you must learn to detach from distractions and noise. Think about how easily your day can be consumed. You sit down to work on something meaningful, and within minutes you've drifted into scrolling, comparing, absorbing information that adds nothing to your life. Hours slip by unnoticed, and when you finally stop, you feel emptier than when you began. That's the cost of distraction. It doesn't just waste your time. It erodes your clarity, your discipline, your very sense of self. The truth is, you cannot build a meaningful life if you're endlessly reacting to the chatter around you. Meaning requires depth, and depth cannot be cultivated in the shallow waters of constant noise. Detaching from distractions is not about rejecting the world. It's about reclaiming your attention. It's about deciding what deserves your focus and what does not. That means being intentional about what you consume, the people you listen to, and the environments you place yourself in. It means recognizing that your attention is your most valuable currency, and if you spend it carelessly, you will always feel bankrupt. There's a reason the wisest figures throughout history sought moments of silence, of solitude, because it is in the quiet that we confront ourselves. And though that confrontation can be uncomfortable, it is also the birthplace of clarity and strength. Ask yourself, how much of your life is being dictated by noise? How much of your identity is shaped by what strangers think, by the trends of the day, by the endless need to be seen and approved? And what would happen if you stepped away, even for a little while? You would begin to notice things. You'd hear your own thoughts again. You'd feel the weight of your own desires, your own values. You'd remember that you don't need to live as a reflection of the crowd. You can live as an expression of your own truth. Of course, the noise will always be there, waiting. It will try to pull you back in with urgency and fear of missing out. But here's the secret. You are not missing out on anything that matters when you detach. You're gaining back the one thing you can never replace: your time, your focus, your life. And once you begin to experience the stillness that comes from turning down the volume of the world, you'll realize that distraction is not just harmless entertainment. It's theft. It's the theft of your potential, your creativity, your peace. You don't need to disappear forever, but you must create sacred spaces of silence. Time without screens, time without constant chatter. Time where you can hear yourself think and allow your soul to breathe. That's where direction comes from. That's where real strength is forged. When you detach from the noise, you are not withdrawing, you are positioning yourself to move forward with purpose, undistracted, undiluted, unstoppable. So step back, put down what numbs you, walk away from what fragments you. Silence the chaos long enough to hear the voice inside that knows who you are and what you're capable of. Because until you detach from distractions, you will never be able to rise above them. And rising above them is the only way you'll ever create a life that is truly your own. One of the greatest traps you can fall into is believing that you're only worthy of celebration once you've achieved perfection. That mindset paralyzes you because perfection is an illusion. It's a moving target that no one has ever truly hit. And yet, people hold themselves hostage to it, dismissing every small step forward as insignificant because it doesn't measure up to some impossible ideal. But life doesn't work like that. Growth isn't about perfection, it's about progress. And if you don't learn to celebrate your progress, you'll never sustain the discipline needed to keep moving forward. Think about how you learned anything of value in your life. You didn't start as an expert. You stumbled, you struggled, you made mistakes. But with every attempt, you grew stronger, sharper, more capable. That's the pattern of human development. A child takes its first steps and falls immediately. No one scolds the child for failing to run a marathon on day one. We celebrate the fact that the child moved at all. We cheer, we encourage, we recognize that progress, however small, is the foundation of everything greater to come. Why do we forget that as adults? Why do we demand of ourselves perfection in areas where we've barely begun? Perfection breeds shame. It tells you that no matter how hard you work, it's never enough. And shame has a way of suffocating effort before it even starts. But when you choose to honor progress, everything changes. That single workout when you didn't feel like moving, that's progress. That one page you wrote, even if it wasn't perfect, that's progress. That moment you spoke up instead of staying silent, that's progress. These moments may seem small, but they are the very bricks out of which transformation is built. Ignore them, and you'll miss the miracle unfolding right in front of you. The truth is, progress is cumulative. Small, imperfect steps compound into massive change over time. 1% better today doesn't sound impressive, But 1% compounded daily becomes extraordinary. And the people who succeed in life are not the ones who avoided mistakes. They are the ones who kept walking, step after imperfect step, while others quit in frustration. They celebrated their forward motion enough to keep going when perfection seemed out of reach. You must also recognize that progress is deeply personal. Your path will not look like anyone else's, and that's exactly how it should be. Comparing your journey to someone else's highlight reel will blind you to the victories happening in your own life. What matters is not how far ahead or behind you feel compared to others, but whether you are further today than you were yesterday. That is the only standard that matters. So, celebrate your progress. Let yourself feel proud when you've overcome something that once terrified you. Acknowledge the times you pushed through resistance. Mark the days you chose discipline over distraction. These are not small things. They are the essence of transformation, and by celebrating them, you reinforce the belief that growth is possible, that you are capable, that change is real. If you wait for perfection before you allow yourself to be proud, you will never be proud. If you wait for the perfect moment, the flawless result, the absolute victory, you will wait forever. Life is not about flawless execution, it is about faithful persistence. Every imperfect effort you make in the right direction is a testament to your strength and a declaration of your worth. So stop punishing yourself for not being perfect. Stop dismissing the very progress that is shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, more resilient. Celebrate it, own it, and let that celebration fuel the next step, and the step after that, until one day you look back and realize you've built something extraordinary out of what once felt like nothing at all. Because, in the end, it was never perfection that changed your life. It was the courage to keep moving forward. There comes a point in your life where you have to ask yourself a serious question. Am I living as who I truly am? Or am I simply playing a role to please others? Most people never confront that question directly. They slip into patterns of behavior shaped by expectations, by fear of judgment, by the pressure to conform. They adopt masks, and then wear them for so long that they forget the face beneath. But deep down, there is always a whisper reminding you that something is off, that you're not fully aligned with who you know yourself to be. To value yourself is to listen to that whisper, to bring your life into alignment with your true self, and to refuse to betray your own soul for the sake of comfort or approval. Living in alignment doesn't mean you abandon responsibility or act on every impulse. It means that your actions, your words, and your choices reflect your core values, your vision, and the truth of your being. It means that what you say in public matches what you believe in private, that the person people see is not a hollow performance but a genuine expression of who you are. And when you live that way, something remarkable happens. You begin to feel whole. The weight of pretending falls away. The inner conflict quiets. You stop feeling like a stranger in your own life, because at last your inner and outer worlds have come together. But living in alignment requires courage, because it means letting go of the safety of approval. It means some people will not like the real you. They may mock you, dismiss you, even walk away from you, and that's painful. But it's far more painful to abandon yourself in order to keep them. Because when you betray yourself, the cost is not just discomfort, it is the erosion of your integrity, your strength, your sense of meaning. No amount of external validation can compensate for that loss. Alignment also requires responsibility. You cannot claim to live as your true self while indulging in habits that destroy you or shirking duties that call you forward. Your true self is not the weakest, most indulgent version of you. It is the strongest, most disciplined, most honest version. Living in alignment means striving to embody that person even when it's difficult, even when the path is steep. It means sacrificing short-term comfort for long-term truth, And while that path is narrow and demanding, it is also the only one worth walking. When you live aligned with your true self, you begin to attract what belongs in your life. The right people, the right opportunities, the right challenges. They find you because you are no longer scattering your energy on false pursuits. You carry a kind of authenticity that others recognize instinctively. People trust you not because you're flawless, but because they sense you're real. And that authenticity becomes a foundation strong enough to withstand the chaos of the world. Ask yourself, how many more years are you willing to live as a shadow of who you are meant to be? How much longer will you silence the voice inside that tells you the truth? Because the moment you decide to align your actions with that truth, you begin to reclaim your life. You stop living on borrowed scripts and start writing your own, and that is the deepest act of self-respect you can ever perform. So live with integrity, live with honesty, live in such a way that when you look in the mirror, you recognize the person staring back at you. Because when your life is aligned with your true self, you are no longer fractured, you are whole, and wholeness is the ground from which every meaningful thing in life will grow. When you step back and look at the journey we've walked through together, the message becomes clear. You must learn to value yourself because your life depends on it. Recognizing your inherent worth lays the foundation. Setting boundaries without guilt protects that worth. Investing in your growth ensures that you do not remain stagnant, but continue to rise. Detaching from distractions allows you to reclaim your focus and your voice. Celebrating progress, not perfection, fuels the discipline to keep moving forward. And living in alignment with your true self brings everything together, giving your life authenticity, clarity, and meaning. This is not just advice. It is a call to action. Too many people waste their days waiting for permission to live, waiting for validation that never comes, waiting until they feel flawless before they dare to act. But life is not waiting for you. It is moving relentlessly, and the only way to honor it is to stand up, claim your value, and live as though it matters. Because it does. Your life matters. Your choices matter. And what you do with the time you've been given will echo far beyond what you can see. So, decide today that you are worth the effort. Decide that your peace, your growth, and your truth are not optional, they are essential. And then live as though you believe it. Because once you begin to truly value yourself, everything else in your life begins to rise to meet that standard. And there is nothing more powerful than a person who knows their worth and refuses to live beneath it.